Here is a promise I will make for you today. I will not answer all of our questions. Okay? Generally, but also specifically about this topic. We're going to try to introduce what we're doing this year and why, and I'll touch on some things that you might be a little bit confused about, and I hope that means you'll come back for more when we talk about these in more detail. So first, right off the bat, our reading was from a book whose full name was A House for Hope, the Promise of Progressive Religion for the 21st Century. And some of you might be wondering now, what do we mean by progressive religion, right? We're going to talk about that so much more, but for right now, what I will say is Unitarian Universalism comes from a family of religious traditions that is considered in the United States a liberal religion, right? Now, we use the word liberal religion and a name that it does not always identify with political belief, right? And we know that among us, we have some political variety. We have liberals, we have leftists, we have conservatives. There is a political variety, right? And there is a reason why we say a liberal religious tradition, and often when our beliefs and our values are informing how we are in the world, they might be aligned with our political beliefs and actions as well, right? This makes sense. Okay, but I want to be clear in case some people are feeling like, well, hey, if I don't identify in that way politically, why are we talking about this religiously? We're going to talk a little bit more about kind of the context of religious traditions and how they might affiliate or not with political traditions. But right now, we are saying and claiming that we are a liberal, a progressive religious tradition. Unitarianism and Universalism have both always been that, and Unitarian Universalism is that. And we're more complex than that, right? Yes. Okay. So, today, we introduce this general topic we'll be focusing on for this program, aka school year. Today, we look at the blueprint, the big picture of who we are. So our topic is our Unitarian Universalist house of belief. Our UU house, our house of belief. The structure of a belief system that we share as Unitarian Universalists. Now note that I say we share a structure of beliefs, not that we all share the same belief systems. Our precise beliefs, we know, are many and varied with Christians, atheists, Jews, humanists, pagans, and so much more within our midst. And there is a certain structure we share as Unitarian Universalists, and some claims we make generally. This year, we will be defining what this house of belief is, so we can name and claim it, so it can unite us here and out in the world to work for more love and justice. Now, this topic of our UU house of belief will be a big focus, not just in worship, but in religious education and in all sorts of places if you'd like to, as we'll start offering monthly questions for contemplation and conversation. We love alliteration here, we really do. We'll be offering questions for contemplation and conversation that relate to each month's theme. You can use these questions as conversation starters at coffee hour and small group ministry, dinner circles, affinity groups, and even at the beginning of your team or committee meetings if you want. You can explore them as an individual, with friends, or with family. Multi-generational conversations can be rich as our younger elementary children engage in the Chalice Children program. Our older elementary kids do Lego values with 2 U's. Another thing Unitarian Universalists love, we stick the 2 U's in there, I think it's great. Okay, and our tweens and teens will be doing coming of age, where they explore beliefs and ethics and define their own "this I believe" statements. all of us engaging in this work to construct our shared house of belief, all of us learning with and from one another. And so as we talk about a shared house of belief, we're also, you see, getting our own house in order, so to speak, and organized, united around common themes, while celebrating how we will explore and delve into these themes differently, right? The concept of community of communities from Carla Cole-Jones is one we talked about in the last program year. It has helped us embrace that we, this fellowship, can be one community that has many different smaller communities and groups, each with their own distinct cultures, and that we can be together as a whole community, and that there are structures organizationally as well as by beliefs that hold us together. All right, so I want to be clear that by discussing a shared belief structure that holds us together, we are not trying to gloss over differences in our beliefs. So to help us anchor this, we turn to Audre Lorde. Audre Lorde was a writer, professor, philosopher, intersectional feminist, poet, and civil rights activist. In her 1984 book of collected essays called Sister Outsider, she had a critique of feminists, saying that by not naming the differences among women along identities such as race, class, and sexuality, and instead ignoring them, feminists allowed what she called the patriarchal tactic of divide and conquer to occur. And so groups of women wound up fighting against one another instead of with and for one another. She argued that if they had defined and claimed their differences, then diverse viewpoints and experiences would have been celebrated and all could have worked more effectively together for the betterment of all. She wrote, "In our world, divide and conquer must become define and empower. So we, together, shall define who we are so that we can empower. When we do not name, claim, and celebrate our differences, they can indeed divide us. So we shall name and claim these, our differences, in all sorts of ways, and will support affinity groups that exist, ones that want to form but don't exist yet. And we will also define what it is we do all share in common, so we can claim that too." That, admittedly, can sometimes be hard for us Unitarian Universalists, which is why we're going to take a fair amount of a year to do it. So this year, we focus on what belief structure holds this, our community of communities, together. Defining our house of belief enables us to understand the structure we are gathered within. It gives us a hearth to gather around, a space to listen and grow from one another's differences and understand our similarities too. So this is the internal why of why we're focusing on this together this year. It brings us together. It unites us as a fellowship with an understanding of a shared structure of beliefs, a shared house or home of beliefs we can all gather together under. Yes, my throat is also tickly this morning. So now, what do I mean when I say a house of beliefs or a structure of beliefs? And why are we talking about belief at all anyways? We talk about values and principles, we talk less about beliefs. So here we go. I have often said, and in fact it was said just earlier from this very pulpit, that we are a faith bound by covenant and not by creed. Meaning we agree to be a certain way together. This is our covenant, how we agree to be and behave and be in right relationship with one another. And it is true that we do not have a creed that we require people to believe in. A creed is defined by Merriam-Webster as a brief, authoritative formula of religious belief or a set of fundamental beliefs. We have no fundamental beliefs or brief, authoritative formula of religious belief that we require all to agree to. However, we do have a foundation of beliefs. Merriam-Webster defines belief as a state or habit of mind in which trust or confidence is placed in some person or something, or something that is accepted, considered to be true, or held as in opinion. We do have beliefs, but we've often been shy about claiming these beliefs. And we do indeed have a fairly clear structure of belief or house of belief. Now, what do I mean when I say that? I mean that we have answers to some similar questions on life and reality, of why we're here, of what we need to be protected from, of what we believe about the past and what we long for in the future. We are all answering these sorts of questions, and those questions are our structure of belief, right? These questions are also often called the classical concepts of theology, but we'll get into that later. Now, in addition to us asking some of the same questions about life, we also have some similar answers that are different, but they might fall within the same group, like all being food, and not just all being food, but all being vegetables. You know, like I might be broccoli and you might be asparagus, but we're all vegetables. So though we are far from 100% in agreement across theology or lived experience, many of us answer some of the same life questions, and many of us are giving answers that belong to a same broader family of belief. Hope, for example, might be something we all believe in and have for our future, though we use different terms and different ways to define it. Those of you who were at our This I Believe this summer with Keith and Melissa heard two very different articulations from Unitarian Universalists about their beliefs. If you missed it, go and watch it on YouTube. I missed it too. I went back and watched it on YouTube. It was great. Right? We heard two different very articulations, and in both of their reflections, we heard a deep founding for hope, for a better world, right? Though we might have different answers to the questions, they fall within some similar bodies, okay? And so our beliefs can reside together, sometimes very comfortably and sometimes with tension, in this house, this structure of belief that draws us together, that unites us. So each month we'll be going through one of these life questions, aka theological concepts, about why we're here, what we're doing, what's our purpose, what is our relationship to that deeper, higher power that some might call God and some might call a faith in humanity. What are our answers to these questions, each of us individually? And how do these similar answers provide us with some sort of structure to dwell in together? Now, the structure of a theological house is not one that I'm making up. We heard from our reading this morning from Reverend Dr. Rebecca Ann Parker and Reverend John Burens. Now, this concept was originally Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker's, and she was the president of one of our UU seminaries. She wrote this book with John, A House for Hope, that expands upon her original concept of a theological house for Unitarian Universalism. And she did this because she saw in her travels and in her training of ministers that Unitarian Universalists do in fact have a structure of belief, and we ought to get a little bit better at talking about it, right? So this year we'll define what our foundation, our walls, our door, our roof, windows, and the elements outside our windows are to build this metaphor of a structure of belief. So, slightly more muddled clear about what we're doing this year? Okay. There will be like some pictures coming, with like infographics. No, truly, okay. So, the other part of why. Why else is it important that not just each of us is able to define what it is we believe, but that we are able to define, clearly state, and articulate what it is we believe and what we long for in the world? We spoke at the beginning of the internal togetherness reason, and the other is the external reason that we heard Rebecca and John talk about, our capacity to be faithfully and powerfully in this world. Our ability to define what we believe because words do have power and because words move people to a vision and to an action, right? We have seen horrifying examples of that this week, right? Of one political candidate's words, racist, anti-immigrant, horrible words, causing threats to the safety and very existence of other human beings. Words have power. They move people to a vision, and they move people to action. We are seeing within our own country the rights of women being rolled back. We are seeing our country fund an armed genocide, and we are seeing fascism within our country on the rise. The rights of many of us and our wider community are being threatened, and part of this is because the religious right has been very good for a very long time at articulating their values and beliefs and a vision of using words skillfully and smartly to project a vision and move people towards action. And the religious right should not, cannot, and will not be the only ones articulating beliefs and values in understandable ways and inspiring people to action, right? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let me wrap it up. For too long, right, we have been on the defensive, on the response. And indeed, the tides are changing, right? We are seeing conviction, clarity, and confidence. We are seeing neighbors take care of one another. The Springfield NAACP saying an attack against you is attack against all of us, and here we are with you. We are seeing fascism being called what it is, being called weird instead of normalized. We are seeing a vision being articulated. So we, too, as a liberal religion, can be an important part of this change. And it is past time, but a very good time, for us to define what it is we believe, even widely so, in order to allow others to understand and envision the world as it could be, and empower us all to make it so. This is our role. Our job as a progressive faith community in our society. To be clear in what we believe the world is and can be, to speak of it beautifully so others might know of it and long to create that world, and to invite others in so they might know of the goodness and hope we have here and help us make more of it everywhere. We have here a roof to keep out the storm, a foundation that gives sturdy connection to the earth, a door to invite others in and to move out into the world through, windows to let the light shine in or the rain stream across. I thought there might be some now, but there's not. And walls to hold it all together. We have a home and a hearth where we can imagine a whole world that is fed, that is warm but not too hot, that is loved. Let us gather here, name it, claim it, reside in it to be ready and refueled for the journey. Let us define so that we can empower.